Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lights Camera Rant. We're going to be talking about an unfortunate wrestler has passed away. We've got some fantastic news about Thor 5. We've got a cancelled DC project that's just come to surface. And I have a very special guest on the other side of the pond, the man who I've been on his podcast 3 times, and he's utterly killing it. I have Andy from the Galactic Core podcast. How you going, man?
Hello, thank you for having me on, bud. I am super excited to be on the show. Great to see you again, buddy.
Happy to be here, and I can't believe I had my mic turned up for the very start.
I was like, has my
Bloody
headphones run out of battery again? What the hell's going on?
no, I'm just a dumbass. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on this episode. We've got so much to tackle, not to mention the most thing that's talked about in every nerd culture right now is the debut episodes
Yeah,
of Ahsoka, which I can't believe that we've been waiting for this for 3 years.
it's been that long.
It was announced in December 2020.
Damn, can't believe it's been that
I
long. Doesn't feel like it.
No, and neither I completely agree. I was looking back on it and I was like, when did this get announced? And I was like, oh shit, this has been this long. Um, but before we fall into that,
Mm.
what have you been up to, man? Your show, you start in April, you've got 15 episodes, you have a great logo, and you've put on a great show. For someone who's only done that many episodes, it's fantastic, man.
No, I really appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun. Um, I'm an uber geek and uber nerd, whether it comes to Star Wars, Marvel, DC, a few other bits and pieces. And I always talk about this stuff. I'm everyone's go-to guy, whether it's my friends and work colleagues and stuff. So I was like, why not talk about it myself? I mean, last year I started to make a few guest appearances on different pods. So I was like, maybe it's time I just start my own. So I sort of ramped it up and I started basically straight after Star Wars Celebration, which I was really lucky to get to go to since it was in the UK this year. And yeah, it's just been amazing covering obviously lots of different projects, everything from Star Wars as we know, which is my favorite thing in the world, some Marvel, DC films, MonsterVerse, Godzilla and Kong. So lots of different things to cover, lots of more things to cover because god damn it, have we got a busy schedule for the rest of the year from now onwards.
Oh, yes, we do. I think actually, I think we were talking about this pretty much with Ahsoka dropping. It is just bang for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Um, and what was like with all the Star Wars? What was your canon event? Like, what was the thing that pushed you that you're like, you know what, I'm going all in, I'm doing it. And how'd you come up with the name?
Um, Originally, my idea was just to do a Star Wars podcast. It's the thing I have more knowledge about than anything else in my entire life. That sort of meme where you see where it says like, my amount of life knowledge, my amount of Star Wars knowledge. It was kind of like that for me. So I wanted to do it just on that, but then I was thinking I wanted to do a weekly podcast as well, and I might struggle to have something Star Wars to discuss every week because obviously there's not a film or show on every week. There is lots to cover, but I wanted to sort of broaden my horizon, so I did decide to widen that to cover obviously everything Marvel, everything DC, anything else nerdy and geeky that came out that I really wanted to talk about and have a guest on to talk about. That's why I decided to do that and go for such a broad range of things. It's been pretty successful so far in terms of, there's no when you've got all of that to cover, there's never anything not to talk about. That's
No, no,
so
there
there's
isn't.
always something to discuss. In terms of the name and
Hmm.
the logo, that was hard when you're starting a podcast maybe this late in the day compared to the thousands, if not millions, of other podcasts there are. I had to do a lot of
Oh,
research into the name because all the one I think the first genuinely about the first 30 names I came up with were already taken. So it was a case
shit.
of thinking, along the sci-fi space sort of route, what's good, what works for me, what do I like, what I think has a decent ring to it. And that's
Hmm.
eventually
The
how I came
Galactic
across the name.
Core.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunately that's the little tricky thing is there is a lot of Star Wars podcasts. There, when you go down through them all, and obviously the best is you and Star Wars
Oh yeah, obviously.
at the top tier. But I was very, which we've discussed this before. Like I was very much like yourself. Like I was going to be, the original plan was to be a Marvel only podcast. That was the first draft, and then I thought, well, when a TV show or a movie's not on, I'm up shit creek, aren't I? And so yeah, that's why I decided to cover everything. But you know, it's when I found you, the way I found your podcast was you came up with a recommendation for, I think it was my Instagram or Spotify. Actually, that's how I actually found you.
Nice.
And 3 guest appearances later.
Well, I've been very lucky that you've jumped onto mine so often, to be fair. So,
More than happy to. But you've had some great guests on the show.
yeah, I've been again very lucky with that because I've made some quick friends in the podcasting world. Like we mentioned Star Wars and Michael and Tommy over there. I was lucky enough to be a guest on a different Marvel podcast with Michael from Star Wars. We did I think it was the Ms. Marvel. We did both appeared during the season, and then we were on the round table at the end of the series.
Oh,
and so
that's right. Yeah.
Touched base with him and kept in touch, and was lucky enough to appear on his show. And he's obviously been on mine a couple of times. And some other really great guests on there, like Brett Scott from the Marvel Plus podcast. The guys from Why So Sidious, I know that you've had them on as well.
Yeah.
Or at least one of them anyway. I was lucky enough to have all 3 on my show at the same time. So it was they are really good guys. I really like their pod as well. So
yeah,
I've been lucky with the people I've had on.
They're killing it as well. And they haven't been going for that long, but they've done a lot. And they will be coming on to the show later, I think towards the end. That's episode 5 or 6 they'll be jumping on. We'll get them on. So we're going to dive into some pop culture news, and then we're going to go straight into it. But before I do that, because it is nighttime, that's how I start this.
Nice. I'm going to sip my tea out of my Star Wars mug.
Which is a killer mug, by the way.
Which, actually, this actually kind of annoys me because it's got loads of different lightsabers on here. And when the cup's hot, they all light up. But they made a mistake, and it really pisses me off.
Oh, here's the nerd coming out.
They've got Anakin / Luke Skywalker saber on here, and then they have Luke / Anakin Skywalker saber on here. But one of them's wrong. They got the grip wrong on one of them, and it really annoys me. I don't know why. I'm like, this is an official Star Wars cup. At least get your bloody lightsabers right.
Which I don't get how they do that. I think the best. What was it? It's I think I saw a DC thing not too long ago, and it was like, oh no, here's all these characters, and the logos were different colors. It was like, this is your own merch. This is your own merch, and you've stuffed this up. I'm like, there is no hope for DC. Now, unfortunately, the news that we have to cover is not good to start off with. This past week, the wrestling world has been shocked to its core with the passing of Bray Wyatt. He was only 36. Unfortunately, he didn't stop wrestling in January this year due to an illness, which unfortunately has taken him, and as well as Terry Funk. For any old wrestling fans, he also passed away as well. That biggest condolences from here from the Lights Camera Rant family to his friends, his family, his pets. It's very sad to hear that news, especially 2 wrestlers within, I think, 24 hours, 2 of them. And especially at the age of 36,
so young, yeah.
And you look at people like Ric Flair, who are nearly 80 and still want to get in the ring. But yes,
super sad news, man. I mean, I was lucky enough to see him wrestle live as well.
Really?
Back in 2017, the WWE did a UK tour, and it was very lucky that that they came to the little town that I live in. So I booked some tickets. I was literally front row as well.
That would have been good.
Cost a bomb, but you know what? It was totally worth it, and got to see. I mean, what was really good is that particular day as well. the wrestlers were obviously wandering around town. A couple of them came into the shop that I was managing at the time. So I got a picture with Bobby Lashley. He came in.
Oh, holy shit.
The coffee shop that's right next door to me, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were in there. And I literally like put a back in 5 minutes sign on my door, ran in there, had a quick chat with them, got a picture, and although I said, let me buy your coffees for you. And Sami Zayn was like, no, like you're a fan, let us buy you a drink. So I was chatting to them, like the lady got us our drinks. And when they're done chatting to me, they walked off and didn't pay. So in the end, I did have to buy their drinks.
Still to pay.
Yeah, it was a funny little moment. But yeah, I was really lucky that that evening, got to see Bray Wyatt wrestle. So sad that he's passed away. Really talented in the ring with his different personas. Yeah. You will be missed for sure.
It will, and that's the thing. He is the definition of when someone goes, "Oh, they're built differently." What he did with his characters, his connection with the audience, like that's definitely someone who goes, "Oh, this is the normal plan." Nah, I'm doing something completely different, and this is what you get. But look, let's go to some a little bit more happier news. Actually, it's not as bad, but unfortunately for any Dune fans, you are not getting... Dune has been pushed back. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, Dune Part 2 has been pushed back from November this year to March the 15th next year. Which I saw on multiple people's Instagrams going, this is shit, this is terrible. And I saw a couple of Marvel pages that were like, yeah, the Marvels will be in IMAX. I'm like, okay, sure. But no, not only Dune, but also Godzilla as well. The new one has also been pushed back because of
Godzilla -1. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's because of writer strike, actor strike. That's all been pushed back, and that's the thing. That's the thing I keep thinking to myself. Like, if these get pushed back, things are going to get clustered. So the whole trajectory of summer blockbuster is summer blockbuster with 10 other films.
Yeah.
So it's not going. Well, it looks good for the Marvels, but not for Dune. Were you looking forward to it, man?
Well, with Doom, I've actually been waiting because I wanted to watch both parts together rather than do one and then have to wait like a year or a couple of years for the next part. So I've actually really been waiting in anticipation for part 2 to come out so I can then do them back to back. Whether that be like sit down at home, watch the first one, then run off to the cinema and watch part 2, or whether I still gave it a few more months till it came out on streaming and then I could watch them back to back. But I wanted to watch it as one whole. Or in the same day rather than have a lot of time in between. So I've waited just about long enough. I can wait a little bit longer as long as it's not pushed back further after that. It does make me wonder how all these films are getting pushed back, but the Marvels still hasn't been delayed. Whether obviously Bob Iger up there at Disney doesn't really give a crap, and he's just like, I'm going to put this out regardless.
That's very true, because it's not so much. It's so the fact that because they can't talk about the film, like they can't. That's the whole point. It's the whole point of it. But look, I guess you get that Disney money, and they give you 3 times the amount of pay to talk about the film. You're gonna freaking talk about the film.
yeah,
if they pay you to. But I have no doubt IMAX will do a back-to-back feature for Dune. I haven't seen the first Dune. Zach is appalled from the Nerd Dose that every time I tell him that, he's appalled. He's like, what do you mean you haven't watched it? I'm like, oh, I just haven't sat down and watched it. I was like, he's like, do you like, it's such a good film. I'm like, I know, I just haven't got around to it, and I haven't gone around to everything at once.
Same, to be fair. It's been on my list for so long. As soon as I heard about this, I was like, I need to watch this. And obviously, since it's come out, it's gone and won Oscars and stuff. And I still haven't, for some reason, sat down and watched it yet. But it is so high up on my list, and I just don't know why I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm like, and everyone told me like this is what Doctor Strange 2 was meant to be. And I'm getting there. It's just a lot to review, a lot to watch, especially now.
Yeah, we've got lots to
Um,
do, people. Leave us alone. Let us get to it.
Yeah, it's good to it. Well, one thing that's no one's going to get to is apparently the Nightwing movie that was in been in production for 5 years now, or been in the planning stage, is out of here, gone. Another film that's been cleaned from the James Gunn slate.
He's joined that secret realm of where Batgirl's gone to. So,
Well, at least Batgirl actually started filming.
well, yeah, I suppose.
I the thing is, I don't even know how would you make a Nightwing film without introducing him in the Batverse at least once. Because
true.
The Joker got his own film, but you've had Joker be along Batman, so you understand the character. Batgirl, we had an introduction with Batgirl in that horrible Batman film that where we always don't like to talk about. But Nightwing, like how, yeah, I don't know how they were going to structure it, but now we get Batman Brave and the Bold with Robin, which would be Damian, Batman's actual son, which his actual son is Nightwing. But yeah, for anyone who is a Nightwing fan, if you're looking forward to a movie, it most likely Nightwing might pop in the Brave and the Bold, which would make sense if he does.
Well, let's hope so. Although to be fair, I don't step on any toes here. How many fans of him were there already out there that were anticipating this film? That's not too harsh, but I think more people want to see Batman than this guy. So
yeah, what do you mean? You don't want to see Nightwing, the cool Robin?
Well, I think I would forget about him probably as quickly as he came on screen. So
that's totally fair, and I don't know how they would do his suit either. But yeah, no Nightwing coming. No Nightwing fans. I'm so sorry. My condolences. Did you see the new Rebel Moon trailer?
I have indeed, yes.
What do you think?
To be honest, I'm unsure. I'm unsure what to think of this. It's a difficult one because obviously it's supposed to be this whole based on Star Wars scenario, but and you look at some bits of the trailer and go, okay, this is a definite rip-off of Star Wars in a way.
100%.
But it just doesn't feel Star Wars-ish at the same time. I don't know if it's because I think it's because Zack Snyder fans put me off sometimes. Apologies to the heavy end of Zack Snyder films, I should say, with like the DCEU, Zack Snyder universe is maybe left a little bit of a taste in my mouth when it comes to Zack Snyder stuff. So I'm a bit like, where's it going to go? I still think it's going to probably be a really good film in the end. He's very well known, obviously, for making a film look beautiful. If sometimes I think his plot or writing isn't quite up there, but he does make films look really good. So this is going to look like a fantastic film. And if it's close enough to Star Wars that it gets me into it, then I'm not really going to complain.
No, which is fair. I just didn't know that this was actually a part 1 and part 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you just hit me with the news then. I was like, I'd never seen this anywhere that it was a part 1, part 2 thing.
It was at the end of the trailer that I watched was like a part 1's coming out this, and then part 2 is in March or May. I'm like, when was this? What? When was this? Okay, cool. I get it. But I found that latest trailer. I found that a part of me as a kid was like, okay, cool. This looks something that you would be in the theater. You see the trailer for this. You're like, this looks sick. A brand new space adventure.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I was looking and going, of course, it's a chosen child. Of course, that she will end the war of all wars. Of course, it's bloodshed and that's the only thing I was a bit like. But
the massive sci-fi trope that it is now.
That's it. But the trailer looks stunning. Like this looks 100% like a space adventure, and yes, it does look like a Star Wars ripoff. It's like cool story. Rub out type in Rebel Moon, Stormtroopers, random aliens.
How can we make it? How can we make them have lightsabers without them actually being lightsabers?
Yeah. Oh, look, it's a saber light. You can only use it. I'm 100%. But interestingly, this will be on Netflix. So this is
Yeah.
not obviously going to be. Some theaters are going to show this, but it's going to be on Netflix. Which obviously Netflix is going to be pouring a lot into this. But so far, all the comments I saw for it, everyone was really excited. Except, yes, this looks like Zack Snyder isn't going to bring anything new to the table.
Well, what we can do is wait and see, but we're still going to be watching it, aren't we? So,
yep, yes, we are. Which apparently this Rebel Moon is meant to be Star Wars with sex, violence, and swearing.
cool. So all the things that aren't for kids.
Yeah, that's right. In the past week, we also had the game showcase, which the PlayStation Portal has been went on display, which will be you can in a month's time you'll be able to pre-order this. It's roughly about the $300 mark, depending on which country you're in, but roughly about $200 to $300. And you'll be able to play this with the PlayStation over Wi-Fi, but you have to be connected to your PlayStation. So this isn't something you can leave your house.
So just play on your PlayStation then?
Well, that's the funny thing is I did see someone's comment was like, this is so you could play it if someone else was using the TV.
Oh dear. I don't think that's a problem in my house because we've got about 4 TVs.
I know. I thought, cool. I know when I would use this, except for like if I was in bed, I was like, I just want to lay in bed and just play it like this. But then again, I would just play it normally.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting how so far I've seen everyone's excited for it. But it looks very cool. I do like how it's set out and the screen's large and looks less bulky than the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Because you're a PC, aren't you? You're a PC gamer.
I'm mostly an Xbox gamer, to be fair.
Xbox.
I've got the Xbox stuff. My other half has got the PlayStation stuff, and then we've both got our PCs that we game on as well. So, yep, a marriage made in heaven. We share all the consoles.
I don't share my console with Maddie. I'm just too afraid she's going to delete something.
To be fair, the only thing I want to use her PS5 for is to play Spider-Man.
Which is right around the corner for the brand new one, which that trailer that dropped a few weeks ago looks schmick.
Does look beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, PlayStation plans, the Portal is coming. I think it's planned to be pre-ordered, but I think I do believe it will be releasing early in next year, but you had to pre-order it very soon. Thor 5. Something I didn't think was going to be in development due to how Thor 4 has been received. However, apparently Thor 5 is in active development. Taika Waititi will be returning, and they're looking to have a villain that's stronger than Hela.
This is going to be interesting.
I can't think of... Yes. He's going to take a third crack at it. So it's going to be 50-50 chance if it's going to be good or bad. But the only thing that I'm really excited for is that I feel, depending on where this film's going to be released, if this is before or after Secret Invasion, this might very well be Chris Hemsworth's last outing as a character. And I'm very curious to see Hercules. I'm so ready to see him go up against Hercules, which we were teased.
I was going to say, we need to see Hercules, obviously, after the post-credit scene from Love and Thunder. So he definitely needs to be in it. I feel like it should be released before Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, because it feels like you could wrap Thor's story up as a finale in those two Avengers films. As for Taika Waititi coming back to do it, I'm not sure, to be honest. I know they have a habit now of letting the directors do a full trilogy. We all know that Ragnarok was amazing. Obviously, we know how Love and Thunder was received. I think it was maybe time to move on a little bit and let Thor return to a more serious side. rather than being a joke character that he sort of has turned into a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. I think Thor 5, he needs to take a drastic turn back to Thor 3, or a little bit controversial, but Thor 2.
Mm.
Like, bring him back to that. Like, that's the thing. Thor 3 was a great balance. Thor 4 was just too much of one side. And like the best thing was Christian Bale in that entire movie. And before anyone asks, there is no release date. Currently, right now, there is no film that has a permanent until these strikes are over. There is no film upcoming that has a permanent release date.
It's going to be interesting. Let's just see what they do with it. Like I said, I feel it'd be better to do it before the Avengers films, wrap up his story in the Avengers, and then let him go on his way. Because you can introduce a new Thor in that film.
Which they did in the last one and then killed her.
Well, Natalie Portman just there for the money. Let's face it. So that's
true. Yeah, and you wanted to, was it Feel My Hammer? That's what you wanted. That's what you really wanted. To the credit, I think she did a good job. I liked her costume. I thought they nailed that at least.
She did a good job.
Yes. Now, a little bit sad. Actually, there's been a lot of sad news. I didn't really mean to do this, but yes, for anyone who's a Mario fan who's been growing up with Mario, Charles, I can't say his last name, is stepping down as the voice of Mario, and obviously baby Mario, Luigi, Wario. He's stepping down. He will be a Mario ambassador. They haven't announced who will be taking up his role, but he's in his 70s. So he's stepping down. It's a little bit heartbreaking because you've grown up with this person's voice, everything he does, and now he's going to be stepping down. And I know it's just going to turn out just like with Chris Pratt. With I don't like the new voice, it's going to be shit.
I mean, like you said, it's iconic voice, something that we've all got used to over so long. But at the same time, these things have to happen eventually, and better to do it now while he still can, rather than it be something even worse where he's unfortunately passed away and he doesn't get a chance to wrap up his own legacy with it first.
Well, that's right. If we take a look back with Kevin Conroy, his last voice acting is in Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. So at least Charles has had the moment to step back and look at his legacy, because he's done all the games, merch, movies, all of it, and he voiced two characters in the Mario movie, both the uncle with the old voice as well as the dad, which I think is a great send up for him. And now you're an Invincible fan, aren't you?
I haven't actually watched it yet.
It's all good. You need to watch it.
Again, one of those things that's on my list and I just haven't got round to yet. I was chatting to some people at work about how the next series has been patterned to come out in terms of like a block of 4, and then an unspecified amount of time will pass before the next block comes out.
That's literally what I'm about to talk about. Season 2 has been split, and apparently it's the creator or the writer was said after the mid-season final you are going to need the break. I'm like, you can't just say that without any context at all. But I highly recommend you watch it. Episodes don't go long. You could probably smash out. Well, you can smash that in a weekend, but you can definitely smash it out in a day. But it's a really good show. I didn't watch it straight away. I had a mate who kept pushing me. He's like, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. You need to watch it. I was like, fine. First episode. I'm in. Again. binge the whole thing.
Well, it's what I am going to have to watch now, because we did this as well when he came on my show about The Boys. The first time
Yes,
after he
we
came on
did.
my show, and I'd said The Boys had been on my list for so long, I don't know why I hadn't started it yet. And you were like, "Look, man, you need to go away and watch this, because otherwise we can't really be friends." So I went away and thought, I need to watch this. I need
Have
to watch
you?
this, and I have. I'm absolutely binge watched it through. I'm absolutely all caught up on it. So I will be doing the same with Invincible.
What do you think? What do you think?
Love it. Love The Boys. Amazing.
How brutal is the first 15 minutes?
Oh yeah. I remember watching this going, I did not I see, I'm on TikTok a lot and things like that. I see lots of clips from it, and you'd seen bits and pieces. So I knew how brutal some of it was going to be, and obviously seen different clips of memes and stuff like that. So, but yeah, then you sit there and watch it and go, okay, this is what I'm in for. This is damn going to be awesome.
Yeah, I know. I loved it because I saw a meme the other day that was like a picture of them holding hands right before the accident. It's like, oh, cute couple.
Yeah, I
Can't
saw
wait
that.
to see where this season takes them. I was
Like, yeah, she only lasts about a minute longer.
yep, and that's it. And I have to ask, what did you think of the beginning? I think it was the first episode of season 3 with the Ant-Man scene.
Oh yeah, yeah. The whole thing of like what Ant-Man should have done to Thanos in Infinity War or Endgame, and
Yeah.
and the boys are like, you know what, we're actually going to do that.
What did you think of that?
Yeah, I think because I was obviously a little touch behind, so I had already seen something about this particular scene, but I hadn't physically seen it. So when it happened, you're like, oh my god. And then obviously, yeah, your mind goes to, so that's what would have happened to Thanos. Okay, fair enough.
Pretty much. When I was watching it, I thought, oh, okay. I was like, oh, they're gonna do the Ant-Man, like the Thanos theory, and I was like, he's not turning around. Oh my god. Oh my god. And Maddie was watching me. She's like, what are you watching? I'm like, I'm watching The Boys. I swear it's not what you think it is.
Oh, yeah, but great show, great show.
Yes. Which, again, that show got a new season that got delayed. But yeah, for any Invincible fans, heartbreaking, apparently mid-season final, but there is no release date for the second half at this stage. So I predict March or the end of Feb. Now, did you see this?
I don't think I did actually.
So I had a report on this. Is freaking hilarious. So I forgot his name. It was on my tongue. So he went to go talk about how we're going to show you the new gameplay of Starfield and blah, blah, blah. This guy literally gets up on stage and goes, where's Grand Theft Auto 6? And cuts in. At the presentation, I thought...
So we have been waiting a long time for it. Don't blame them for jumping up.
Oh, I know. I just love the fact he did it at the Starfield one. And I'm like, not all heroes wear capes. and don't get me wrong, Starfield looks good, but every time I look at it, I go, cool, you've just reskinned No Man's Sky.
Ooh, I have heard this, to be fair. It's a lot of the current discussion between some of us at work, us big gamers at work. Some of them have even booked off a few days to sit at home and play it. I haven't gone to that length. No, I haven't gone to that length. I reserve that for Star Wars games. To be fair, so but I'm still going to be jumping onto Starfield. I think they've been talking a lot about how they're probably going to spend the first day just customizing their ship or their character before they even get out there to do any missions. So,
well, like what you do with The Sims.
Yeah.
I've looked at it and it hasn't I hasn't fully grabbed me. I might pick it up, but it hasn't fully sold me at this stage because it's not me saying it's not going to be a good game. It's just every time I saw, like when I first saw the first trailer, I was like, okay, No Man's Sky does the exact same freaking thing. Like what new are you bringing to the table? And not to mention, it's been delayed like 3 times, hasn't it?
I mean, I
So,
don't think it's something I would have gone out and bought for first day release. In terms of
yes.
playing it at day one, it's free on Xbox Game Pass, so that's where I've installed it on my Xbox to play from. So I'm going to be, so I don't have to pay for the game. Thankfully, I just play it through Game Pass. But I look at it in the same way that I never got round to No Man's Sky, but what I looked at in terms of that sort of space adventure. Do you ever play Elite Dangerous?
No.
So Elite Dangerous is like super realistic, sort of like space flight game where you can like join different factions and be a pirate or be a smuggler or various different things that you can do. And what I loved about that game is that the galaxy itself is mapped on our real life galaxy. So it's set out as close as it could be to real life Milky Way.
Oh, that's cool.
And the distance between stars is supposed to be as accurate as possible. And this game's been out since about 2015. And I think the developers even came out about a year or two ago and said, if this was based on everyone that's ever played the game doing real life galaxy exploration, so only something like 0.003% of the galaxy has actually been explored in this game.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
So it just goes to show. I mean, I've spent a bit of time on that game last year or so, and I was doing hyperspace jumps all the way to the black hole at the center of the galaxy and stuff.
What's it called?
So to the fact that Elite Dangerous.
Elite Dangerous.
Yeah. And you just jump around and you do hyperspace jumps going to like between different systems and stuff like that. And it's super involved.
Yeah, I've seen the cover for this. Yes. Yeah, look at again another game just like this. Just like Starfield. That's the only thing. I'm very curious to know how it's going to be received when it officially comes out. Especially after Fallout 76. Which was an utter bomb, utter terrible bomb, which is now in the top categories of shittest launches ever of a game. I'm very curious to know how it's going to come out, and because again, it's going to be one of those things that when people play the game, just like you've done, how far is your reach? Like, how far can you go in this game that you're saying you can do all these things? But this guy being a hero and asking for GTA 6, that's the real question. We don't give a shit about Starfield. Where is GTA 6? So this man should go to every single showcase and just interrupt.
Just jump up every time. Where is it? Tell us now or get off the stage.
Go get off the stage. But look, guys, that is the top culture news that's happened the past week, which unfortunately has been more sad than great. But let's talk about the single greatest thing that's happened this week for every nerd, every Star Wars fan, every Star Wars Rebels fan is going nuts for this. And in the past week, because I love all our podcast community, episodes are flying all about Ahsoka, which I love, and I'm trying to get to everybody. Man, you tell me, what was your... sorry, as I said, this show was originally announced in December 2020. We've been waiting 3 years for this show, and not to mention last year with Obi-Wan, with Hayden Christensen being like, someone asked him, was like, "Oh, are you in Ahsoka?" I'm not going to talk about that. Which just sparked that flame even higher. And obviously, for everyone who's Star Wars Rebels fan, this is the new season. This kicks off straight away. What were your initial reactions when you first saw the first 2 episodes?
I loved it. Anyone who knows me, obviously, you can even see from what's behind me. Star Wars is my jam.
Yeah.
Star Wars is my thing. Besides, I should really say this for official reasons. Aside from my fiance, Star Wars is the only other thing I can't live without. So
For the record,
just for the record, so yeah, really to have some Star Wars back. it feels like I said on my show, it feels like it's been a minute since I got to talk about Star Wars. I think the last time I got to talk about really was Visions, which was like on Star Wars Day, like 3.5 months ago. So
yeah, I still need to watch that too.
But yeah, super excited to get down to the show. I've become in the habit recently of when trailers for stuff come out, I will watch the first trailer and then I will ignore everything else after that, because they tend to try to obviously draw you in by showing a few more key bits in later trailers and TV spots. And I'm like, I don't want to see that. I want to be surprised. So I'll always watch the first trailer. So I hadn't seen anything too much more from this in terms of what to expect in the trailer, but obviously we knew more than enough.
Yes. Did you watch the second trailer out of curiosity with the voiceover?
No. So I've splashed all over social media. So I know that Hayden Christensen did that voiceover.
Okay.
But I didn't physically watch it. So I've not got to see if there were any clips of him in the show or if it was just old clips or anything like that.
No, it's just literally it's just a rehash of the first trailer, just with him talking over it, which really wasn't a spoiler because I was just like, yeah, I know
we
you're
know
coming.
he's going to be in it.
Yeah, which I think I know which episode he is going to appear in as well.
He pulled what I like to now call the Garfield move, which was trying very badly to deny that he wasn't going to be in this. When we all knew it was coming. So
yeah, are you going to be in it? Anyway, Obi-Wan, right?
But yeah, man, I really loved these 2 episodes to get in. Get it back into Star Wars and into Rebels as well. So whether you call it the Ahsoka show, whether you call it Rebels season 5, who really cares? To be fair, it's bringing back some beloved characters. I think the only thing is, if you're not a big Star Wars fan, and I know quite a few Star Wars fans that haven't watched Rebels or already watched a little bit of it. If you haven't watched that, you're going to be stuck a little bit.
I haven't watched Rebels, but I watched a YouTube catch up.
Do you think that's good enough, Lee? I'm calling you out, Sunshine. Do you think that's good enough? How dare you have not watched Rebels?
I feel like this might alienate a whole of my audience. Yes, I have watched it. Yes.
In the same way that I'm with the boys and Invincibles, go watch Rebels, man.
Yes, I know. I have this list, and on the list is Clone Wars and Rebels. That is both on the list.
You've not watched Clone Wars either. Oh my god. I'm not sure if I can if we can still be friends after this, Lee. What's happened?
Cut episode. I'm out. No, I'm done. I'm out.
No, I mean it's one of those things that because Rebels has played such an important part in going into this show, that it is one of those weird things that are they becoming too reliant on previous lore now when they're going into these things, and you need to have gone and watched all these things.
Well, I know that was a very big criticism for these first 2 episodes. However, for me personally, watching it, I didn't feel like I was missing a lot. For someone who hasn't watched those shows, I felt like they definitely told, like, you kind of got the vibe of, when they were touching the mural of all of them, I was like, okay, you can tell that they were a team. You can tell them some time has passed. Obviously, we know Ahsoka's time has passed because of the Mandalorian, and so Mandalorian season 2 and 3, and with all the other characters, I didn't feel left out, like you missed a whole lot. I thought, okay, there's a gap between you can tell there's a gap between the last season and now, which they eventually have to tell us because they did this stupid trope of, oh, you know what she did? Oh, you know what he did? Yes. What happened? Just say it.
What's interesting is at the very end of Rebels, because the last season of Rebels ends about a year before episode 4. And then what they actually do is they're like the last montage, or so to speak, of the episode of Rebels, is that they have Sabine doing like a voiceover of what's happened to everyone after that. So they do jump essentially to the end of episode 6. Okay, this is what Hera was doing. This is what happened to Zeb, the big purple dude. This is what happened to Sabine.
He was in season 3 of Mando.
And he had a little cameo. Yeah, it's one of the one of the pilots at the bar.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still here.
But so they do give a little. explanation at the end of Rebels as to what happened to them all during those periods and what they're doing now. Well, I guess the other part is because you said you didn't feel like you've missed a lot. On the flip side of if you've missed out on it because there's previous lore, for those of us that have watched it and know it really well, it's then. I was talking to someone else about this. It's almost hard in a way to then have the transition from animation to live action for some of these characters. Are they going to nail it? How have they nailed it? Is it going to feel like the same character, or is it just another actress or actor that's putting their own spin on a well-loved character? It can be difficult for those just that know it to accept a slightly different version of the character now as well. So that's going to be interesting for the rest of the series to see how that goes.
Well, that's the thing, and that's always the trouble when you go from animated to live action. That's always the biggest problem, and it's after these first 2 episodes, it's going to be very interesting because this is an 8-episode series. So obviously now we've only got 6 to go. How did you feel, for someone who's watched the lore, all these episodes? How did you feel like these characters were portrayed in these very first 2 episodes?
I thought for the most part they got it spot on. There was only one character really that I wasn't sitting easy with, which was
one?
Hera.
Oh yeah. How come?
It just didn't feel like Hera to me. Because obviously you've had Hera in Rebels. There was also a game, Star Wars Squadrons, and the story in that is canon to Star Wars, where Hera makes an appearance in that game, and she does obviously look a bit different because they make him look a bit more hyper realistic in the games as opposed to the Rebels animation. And then you've got a proper live action version, and the green makeup on her face looked a little bit uneven. It didn't look the same all the way through. I swear to God, in Rebels she actually had green eyes, and they've given her these really outstanding blue contact lenses in this one. And I think the biggest issue I have sometimes is the voice as well. Like going from animated to live action, you can't always have the same people doing the voices, and therefore this, just the way she carried herself, the way she spoke and acted, it just didn't feel like Hera to me. Whereas the rest did. The actress playing Sabine sort of got it really well on. Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka's been good, and because we know as well, Lars Mikkelsen, who's playing Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, he voiced the character in Rebels anyway. So, and he's got a very unmistakable voice that you kind of needed to bring over. So the fact that he's going to voice the same character is a good thing, and it's going to lend more to that. Whereas Hera is the only one out of them that didn't sit right for me.
Well, I did think in the second episode, I don't know if it was just a thing, but like I felt like her makeup was a lot better, or like it was better close up for Hera. No, Cal from Cal who's jumped on the YouTube. Is that really a big deal with blue instead of green eyes? No, it's not a big deal. It's just these little things that obviously you do notice. It's not a deal breaker. But obviously when you've read the lore, watched the lore, you're like, that's different. I don't know how I feel about that. But it's funny, as someone who hasn't watched all that, you're watching, you're like, all right, cool. She's got blue eyes.
Yeah. Is it a deal breaker? Absolutely not. It was just more maybe about continuity of the look than anything else.
Yeah. At the same time, it could very much, maybe green eye, maybe they did test for green eyes and it didn't look right.
That's fair.
Like,
yeah.
Because how she is, it probably maybe would have looked like you wouldn't be able to see enough of her. But yeah, that's good to know that you felt like all the other characters felt like they were really portrayed right from the show. The first 5 minutes, that first episode, I was like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 vibes and Rose of the Lost Ark. With the whole orb and everything.
Yeah. You were definitely not wrong. It definitely gave off that sort of vibe, to be fair.
Yeah. I was like just waiting for her to grab the orb and be drop it. But no, look, seeing Ahsoka back is great. And definitely like getting off the grey vibes she does give off. And I do like that we got the cool action set piece at the start with the orb. And we got introduced at the same time the 2 new characters, Baylan and I forgot her name. Baylan and Shin. which they attack the same ship that Morgan's on, which she's going to be a big character for this season, which is not what I thought of when I saw her in season 2 of Mando. I wouldn't think, oh, you're going to be a big thing.
Yeah, it does seem that like maybe she's going to be more or less potentially the big bad for this particular season, and Thrawn's not going to come in till later on. How late in the series we don't know, but it seems like she's going to be the one that they're really battling against, really.
Yeah, and she's a Night Sister.
Great reveal as well. Another reason to watch the Clone Wars, buddy.
Well, I only know the Night Sisters because of Star Wars Fallen Jedi.
Yeah, that was a great reveal, though. It had been rumored, to be fair. I had heard a rumor after her appearance in Mando that she was a Night Sister, and I didn't think they'd go down that route. But to get that mentioned in live action, great little moment as well.
Yeah, with nothing. I went back and watched her scenes in Mandalorian season. Like, there was no indication. This is such a last minute of like, oh, by the way, you're a Night Sister.
Nice little name drop.
Yeah, exactly right. I like how she's like, you're a witch, aren't you?
Yeah.
But so far now, I will also say condolences for Ray Stevenson, who had passed away just after Star Wars Celebration. But so far, those first 2 episodes, I do like their characters. You definitely can get the feel of the Master and the Apprentice the Apprentice is more erratic, where the Master is more like, do this, do that. That's just, calm.
I mean, Balin does give off that sort of, an old, mature Jedi feel. Obviously, we know he's a survivor of Order 66, so he gives off that whole vibe. And whilst we know these two aren't...
some shit.
Yeah, exactly. And we know these two aren't fully Sith. That's already been explained to us. They've sort of fallen from, or at least Balin has at least fallen from the light side. That's why they've got like orangey lightsabers as opposed to red. What's interesting is Shin has like a Padawan braid that only the Jedi have. The Sith don't tend to have that. So maybe they're sort of doing them as mixed, sort of light and dark side.
Maybe that's good. That's a good point. I'm more curious to where did Shin, did Balin capture, save her from Order 66 and I will now raise you as my own kind of thing, or he just found someone that was a Force user. That's my curious thing is how did you meet this person and what lies has he told you?
I think she's too young to have been a Padawan during Order 66 or a youngling. Because that was over 30 odd years ago at that point now in the timeline.
And if she's over that time, she looks pretty good for that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
But they definitely give off these two Obi-Wan and Anakin vibes as master and apprentice. The older, wiser master who's a bit more calm in the Force and deliberate with his actions, and the young, erratic, acts on passion apprentice. So definitely got those sort of vibes from the two of them.
I thought that too, especially when they start going down a ship like a fish. I did get that too. I was like, okay, you could literally take these characters and swap them, and it'd be the same. It would still fit, except obviously killing good people. But yeah, besides that, which it looks like Morgan's hired them to get this map to find Thrawn, which we got that teased in season 2 of Mandalorian, season 3 of Mandalorian. So we know Thrawn is imminent, as well as because we saw a small snippet of him in the trailer that you haven't seen. And she's also building a giant Stargate looking thing. Yeah. As soon as I saw it, I was like, Stargate. Now this is the thing I thought was really cool. Now I know we're going a little bit further deep in the episodes, but I was looking going, okay, so You've always heard in a galaxy far, far away. Now, that is a line we have heard ever since the very first Star Wars film. And right now, in these 2 episodes, you have seen that they are going to be going to a galaxy further, further away. So the world of Star Wars has just
Yeah.
blown up
completely opened up.
massively. Yeah.
It's
Like,
definitely exciting to see them going further than just their own galaxy.
That's right.
There's some bits from Legends that obviously, other species from other galaxies or whatever come to ours. But to see them physically, because you just think obviously they've gone to the far reaches of the galaxy, like Ezra and Thrawn, wherever they've been for the last 10 years or so, and they're just hiding out somewhere, or they've been unable to get back, maybe just outside of the galaxy or something. But to be in a completely different one, was not expecting that, to be fair.
No, because I've seen the clip on where they get jets in on the hyperspace, which I assume like, some stories that you already hear is like, oh, they've gone to the other end of the galaxy on planets that have never been searched. It will take millions of years to find them. But the fact that they're actually in a different galaxy altogether, which opens just so much in the Star Wars lore, which is just basically just gone exploded.
It's just opening up a whole new realm for them to be able to explore, and to whether they bring back things with them, or animals with them, species I should say, that represent new threats moving forward. Who knows?
Oh, they have to go through customs first.
Oh yeah, of course. Anything to declare, Mr. Thrawn?
Yeah, exactly. These weapons, or I don't know what this does, but I'm going to use it anyway.
Are you bringing back any exotic plants or foods?
Yeah, exactly right. Oh no, you're going to take your belt off before you're coming through. Oh no, you got something else, And Ezra, you got to give your lightsaber off before you're coming through altogether. I think that just opens up the world so greatly. And I'm going to butcher the name. Hugh Young, the robot.
Hugh Yang
with David Tennant.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're one sassy ass robot.
It was good to see him back on the show.
Yes, it was. I like the fact that you've got a character who knows so much history with, and he was there for the Power Ones. He's trained him. I like that history that he has, and that weight he has when he's talking about. He's like, oh, I've trained so many. I still love how he goes to Sabine. I'm like, you have all the Jedi I've trained. You have like the least ability. Like literally, you suck so bad. But you should try.
I mean, that was a great scene as well, because I think it was kind of confirming that she isn't actually Force sensitive, because that's been a big question for a lot of people. In Rebels, we don't see that she's Force sensitive at all. She's just a Mandalorian warrior. And so coming to this, and I know from the trailer that there was obviously a bit where it mentioned that she'd been apprenticed to Ahsoka, so there was a whole question mark of, is she become Force sensitive? And I think to me, this clarified that him saying she doesn't have the level of ability with the Force that others do was maybe confirming that she isn't really Force sensitive, and she was just learning how to be a better person, more centered, a better warrior under Ahsoka than training as a Jedi, so to speak.
Which I got those same vibes of when Ahsoka's like, Anakin didn't get to finish my training, and you didn't finish Sabine's. So do you have abandonment issues?
It's an interesting thing that I've discussed, because as she's got older, Ahsoka's become a lot. Obviously, she's very wise. She's very calm and centered. She's very deliberate about the actions that she takes, as well as acting on instinct. She's a very good, mature, older Jedi, so to speak, even if she's not really a Jedi because she walked away. At the same point, this whole thing about she walked away from Anakin to not finish her training. She refused to train Grogu because she was afraid of his attachment to Mando. And what that can bring out in someone, and the fact that then she walked away from Sabine shows that she might be this older, mature, calm character, but she still has a fear inside of her of of what can happen if things go wrong that she's not been able to address. And it's good layering for a character rather than showing them as like an all-wise leader, so to speak.
Yeah, I know everything, how I can do everything. I'm just the best. But no, that's why I was like, you get such big oh, I just said before, Gandalf kind of vibes for her, which she kicked ass. And the scenes where she whips out the lifesavers, crisp. But the CGI to me in the first two episodes were very crisp.
Yeah, it's a damn good looking show, to be fair, on that front.
Yes, which is quite refreshing. Nothing against Marvel. Nothing against Marvel. And you can definitely tell that Sabine needs training because she lost in that fight with Shin. Not easily, but I feel like we've watched enough Star Wars that we can tell from when someone's a really good Jedi to someone who's like, you're sloppy.
I think what it really did show as well is that we've seen Sabine use lightsabers and staffs and other weapons against non-Force users, and it's been hard battles, but she's come out victorious against them. And this shows to me why she's maybe not Force sensitive. She goes up against someone who is genuinely Force sensitive and has proper training in those arts, and she held her own for a decent amount of time, but still looked overpowered and outmatched at the same time until she obviously got stabbed. And it just goes to show that even a normal person up against a Force user doesn't always really come out on top.
No, and I was actually surprised she got stabbed. I was like,
I was,
nah,
yeah.
you wouldn't kill off a character that quick. Which, like, I was like, oh, and all fade to white. I was like, no, you wouldn't do that.
It's
so
the new
quick.
Disney thing. It's the new Disney fake out at the end of an episode. They did it. They did it in Secret Invasion, didn't they? With I forgot her name now. It's going out the top of my head, but the daughter that obviously
Gaia. Yes,
that's it.
right.
Yeah, that's it. They did it with her at the end of that episode. They did it with Sabine here. We knew she wasn't going to be dead. They're not going to kill off a main character in the first episode like that.
No, not, and especially a Star Wars Rebels OG.
Yeah,
I didn't think they were going to kill her. And again, in the second episode, which has been a really big theme with the Star Wars Disney Plus shows, is there is still so many people that are loyal to the Empire. Like, how corrupt is the Republic?
Yeah. This is a big factor, and just general greed as well. If they've still got the money there to be able to pay these people to go against the New Republic, how much loyalty are the New Republic inspiring? We saw it in Mando as well, with the fact they're trying to take ex-empires and get them back to being sort of good people or working for the New Republic. But you can't do that with all of them. Can't do that with all of them.
No. I will admit, I did chuckle a little bit when, have you seen this? No, I haven't seen this all. Yeah, I did. Just the other day. Just the other day.
Like there's always one work snitch.
Yeah. Like that seemed like such like a kid thing to do. When you're like, oh, don't talk about it when we're in there. Okay. Oh, by the way. Like that was such a I saw the person the other day. And I could be wrong, but you might can correct me. The Inquisitor with the Inquisitor lightsaber is from the show.
So the Inquisitors were first brought about in Rebels, yes. That's what they were first introduced. We obviously got to see them in Kenobi as well. We've never seen this particular Inquisitor before. Because they normally obviously named like fifth brother, seventh sister, something like that. We don't know this particular one's designation. He is the name they're calling him is Marok. And there's a rumor going around that he's played by Sam Witwer. Because Sam Witwer was in the credits for the episode. But we don't know whether he just voiced a random character, maybe a droid or an alien, or if this was him in the Inquisitor uniform that's playing him. This led some people to speculate that is this Starkiller from the old Force Unleashed games, but you can't introduce Starkiller as some like nerfed old Inquisitor. If you're going to bring Starkiller in, you give him his own character in his own right. because he was OP in the games as well, to be fair. But yeah, there is a rumor that this Inquisitor is played by Sam Witwer.
Oh, yeah. I could see that. How he was obviously fighting everything, I could 100% see that as him. Because I the reason why it caught me off guard because I thought you haven't spoken and you didn't die, which I feel like is one of those moments where you're like, oh my god, it's blah blah blah. I know one of those moments because like you haven't died, you're gonna be in the rest of these episodes.
Yeah, definitely coming back for more.
100%.
I mean, he's listed as a mercenary, I think. Again, after the fall of the Empire, they've gone off and they've become a mercenary for hire.
Yeah. Which can if you had a lightsaber and you had the Jedi, yeah, sure. You give me $1 billion, I will go hunt down anyone. And obviously, I don't fully know with Star Wars Rebels, but what a sassy robot Chopper is. Voiced by Dave Filoni.
We love Chopper. Yeah, he has sort of two main descriptions. He's either a murder bot or a war criminal, depending on your point of view from Rebels. He has a minimum kill count of about 50,000 based on the ships that he's blown up and the other people that he's killed. That estimate goes all the way up to about 135,000 in terms of the amount of people he's killed. But he is sassy, he's sarcastic, he loves to wind everyone up. He is amazing. He was the best animation to live action transition that I've seen so far.
Oh yeah. But I didn't like if obviously you're seeing other robots. I'm like, I've never seen a robot have so much emotion. Like he's like, I can do it. Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah, he was a little scene, but he was amazing.
Yes, he was. And I saw that someone had posted, I think it was on TikTok, someone actually gave him subtitles.
Yeah, because you can almost work out what he's saying in a way. And in Rebels, it was similar. It sounded a little bit more muffled, but you could almost get the nuance of words at times. And in this, it almost does sound like you can work out what he's saying at times.
He was like, okay. I was like, where'd you find it? Oh, it's underneath the ejector battery. It's not. Oh, yeah, it's there. Yep, got it. And from that scene, we've also got them going to right before they go to the Stargate. They go to this planet, and you see the entire galaxy come up, which made me think. Have you ever seen Treasure Planet?
Yes, yeah, I saw the comparison. Yeah.
The orb when she did that, I'm like, yeah, you're gonna be able to go Treasure Planet. Right there. That's the big vibes I got from it.
It was. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And you start seeing her using the magic from there. And when they're finally on the Stargate, which I did notice with Balin, he's almost not ruthless in the sense that when she's like, oh no, you have to kill Ahsoka. It's a darn shame. That has to happen. It wasn't like, sure, I'll do it. It was like,
Seems like he's still got respect for the Jedi Order or what the Jedi represent.
Yes, which you do see in the trailer, them both standing in front of each other, about to fight. So I'm curious to know when that's going to happen. And the episode, which I alluded to earlier, is that I was looking at the episodes. I was like, okay, 8 episodes, and the first episode was directed by Dave Filoni. I was like, okay, cool. And I was looking at the other directors. Now, Dave Filoni doesn't direct another episode until episode 5. So, $50 says, if I was Dave Filoni, what episode would you come back to direct?
Sounds about right, to be fair. I think he would want to handle the episode that Thrawn first comes back into. And it sounds about right for where the series is as well, because that's basically the start of the second half of the series, isn't it? 5, 6, 7, 8, and that would be the right point to bring Thrawn in as well.
Yes, whatever happens at the end of 4, you get that mid-season cliffhanger, and then bang.
Yeah, sounds about right to me. Yeah, I can't wait for that. To be fair,
I was looking, going, $50 says, yeah, it's the episode. You come back. And honestly, like everybody, I can't wait to see Hayden Christensen come back and we get these flashbacks between him and Ahsoka, each other. I can't wait to see their interaction. Or will Ahsoka have a moment where she's just like, oh, where she's in trouble or something, and just think about your training. Go back and think of your training, and she has a flashback, or she's really needing his guidance, or put it out there, Force Ghost.
I hope it's both in a way. I hope that she has like a little vision of the past, and then we get a Force Ghost of him pop up and go, I see you've been thinking of me. I thought I'd come say hello.
Yeah. I haven't seen my son, but I will come to you. I haven't seen my old master. Oh, sorry. I haven't seen my son, but I'll come back to you.
Well, it would be random, but at the same time, I was crying out for a Force Ghost Anakin to appear in like episode 9 that we didn't get. So I would love to see Force Ghost Anakin. I think it's just going to be a flashback, to be fair, or like a vision that she's had of like past events, but it's slightly warped in her mind, because there's the whole rumor that we're going to get the Mustafar scene and battle between Kenobi and Anakin that we get from episode 3. There's a rumor that she has some sort of flashback, but it's her in place of Kenobi. So I think it's more likely to be a flashback vision.
That would be insane. That would be such a saying. It was like, something like "let go," like what was it? You played Jedi Fallen Order, haven't you?
Yeah.
When Cal Kestis keeps finding his master.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing.
Yeah, accept who you are and what's happened.
Yes. And for anyone who hasn't played that game, basically Cal Kestis has these visions of his old master where he's fighting him, and he's basically lessons like, you need to let go, you need to fight, stop holding back. And then he eventually goes to go kill him because he's losing him, and he realizes it's just a vision. It's like, oh yeah, you did it. You passed the test. But that would be sick. That'd be such a cool scene. I know every Star Wars fan will completely freak out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And something that for months and months later, there will be episodes breaking down every single little bit. But
I think if that does happen, I will be reviewing the crap out of that episode for so long.
That's what I'm talking about. And even though you haven't seen all the trailers, from the trailers that have been released, judging by the season, from the scenes I have seen, they probably only take clips up to 3 and 4. So I doubt that anything we've seen that's been released is anything from 5 onwards.
Because I did notice a lot of the clips from the trailer that I'd watched were in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah. That's what makes me think. I'm like, you're hauling some good shit. This is endgame shit. But that first trailer is nothing. Literally nothing. What do you after these 2 episodes, how do you think this is going to wrap up? Because I do want to obviously touch base with you when we get to the end as well, and initial thoughts. But how do you think this is going to end?
It's going to be interesting.
Oh, sorry.
No, so yeah, because Thrawn is going to, obviously, we know he's coming back in this series. He's definitely obviously not going to die. I only really see one character dying in this series, which is potentially Balin. Not because the actor's passed away himself, but because he's already sown the seeds of, he seems to have respect for former Jedi. There's not many of them are left out there, and he's not fully Sith or anything like that. So it may be that towards the end he realizes he's not going to get what he thought he was going to get from Thrawn, and therefore sacrifices himself to save Ahsoka or something.
Or Thrawn kills him. It's like, you're done.
I think Thrawn might kill Morgan Elsbeth. I don't know why I see that coming.
Who seems to have, like, I can talk to him. I can hear him. I'm like, you're on drugs.
But it feels like after the first 2 episodes, it's like a slow burner that's going to build up in intensity towards the end, a bit like Andor did. Andor was like a slow burner, and then really built up in the second half towards like its dramatic ending. I feel like this is going to be the same for Ahsoka series.
This might be controversial, but I think Andor is the definition of slow burn.
Yeah,
It's such a slow burn. Like trying to click on the oven like 3 or 4 times before it actually gets lit. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved it, but it was a bit like, okay.
I know what you mean, but once it started to pick up, it really did.
It did
sort of pick up in that intensity of it. So I feel like obviously it's not as slow a burner as that, but it feels like it's going to be slow for a couple of episodes, building up the story to when we do then get Thrawn and the intensity will build up. In terms of then how the story plays out, because we know we're getting the film directed by Dave Filoni that's going to wrap up the whole Mandoverse.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, definitely. So wrapping up, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, the Ahsoka series, like all their stories wrapped up as one. So they're all working towards that. For me, that means that nothing happens too dramatically in terms of, like I said, the main characters in this. But I feel like in that film, we are going to see possibly the death of Ahsoka, of Thrawn, and then the rise of the First Order towards the sequels.
True. Actually, yeah. Will Thrawn be the big bad guy for that film?
I think so.
Will this be the tipping? Because Skeleton Crew is also in this Mandoverse too.
Yeah, that's true. I do forget about that since we heard nothing about it. Nothing.
There's just a photo of... I forgot his name. Except for Jude Law. It's just a photo of him on a planet with a bunch of kids, which Skeleton Crew was originally meant to come out at the end of this year.
But yeah, nothing about it whatsoever. I do forget that's part of this time era.
Yeah, Star Wars Skeleton Crew is currently still slated for this year, with 8 episodes.
Do you feel like it's going to be those ones a bit like Echo, where they're just going to drop all the episodes at once now? Is it because they've just done no promotion for it?
Well, that's the thing, is because after Ahsoka, we got 2 episodes of Loki that cross, and after Loki, we're meant to have Echo, but apparently Echo has been taken off the slate entirely. So that might not even happen. And then, you've got Skeleton Crew could still come in, but the fact that we're currently in August, about to go to September, and no release date.
Yeah, bit of a shocker.
Yeah. And again, I was just having a look. There is actually no official poster. It's still just the logo on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I completely forgot that they're part of this universe, but throwing it in there, building up. They're obviously going to have a story that kind of wraps up this season, but at the same point is going to leave it open for either another season or obviously to what's going to happen in this film. And the only reason I slate Ahsoka to die in that film as well is because you can say obviously she wasn't in the original trilogy, so where was she? You can say the same about the sequels, but at the end of episode 9, where Rey's in that fight with Palpatine and she's talking to the Jedi of old, and you hear all their voices. Ahsoka is one of the voices that you hear of dead Jedi, and we know they're dead Jedi because it's stated she's trying to talk to the dead Jedi that that are part of the Force now. So Ahsoka is one of those voices. So that's why, to me, she is going to be someone who gives a big sacrifice in this film, maybe to kill Thrawn, to bring down whatever they're doing, but her, Thrawn, and the rise of the First Order is what I peg to be the big things for that film to wrap up this story.
Which I agree with you. I think that would be a fantastic film. I think that would be insane to watch. And it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense for Thrawn to be the big bad guy in the film. Ahsoka's the last hurrah with Mando. Them going.
Maybe even Boba Fett dies as well, because he's going to be in his, like, the character himself of Boba Fett is going to be like, what, in his 60s in this film? He's been through a lot. Maybe it's time for him to be laid to rest as well in that film.
Time to cark it. But that with all of that, that still raises another argument of like, you've got all these people, you need someone else who can use a lightsaber. So someone else will have to also be the bad guy in that film, which I have no doubt Dave Filoni already has an idea who that's going to be, which we're all going to be. Oh, it could be Starkiller. It could be anyone.
Well, I think the interesting thing that the one character we haven't really talked about for Ahsoka is Ezra. So
Yes.
Ezra obviously was a big part of Rebels. He disappeared with Thrawn at the end of that series, and the whole point of Sabine looking for him to bring him back. And there's a theory I've seen that started to gain more traction is that Ezra is going to have turned to the dark side. It was heavily hinted at during Rebels at various different points. He even uses the Sith holocron and is implementing dark side tools and practices, but he doesn't fully turn. And so it's always been hinted at that maybe during his time away, he's turned to the dark side and he's going to be like Thrawn's apprentice in a way, or Thrawn's understudy. And he's going to be someone that he uses. And maybe it will take a bit of time until we get to that film for Ezra to turn and come back to the light.
That's true. That's very true. Because you said it's been 10 years?
About that, roughly, yeah.
So it makes sense that Thrawn captured him after wherever they landed and turned him. Like, it would be such a big reveal if he comes to that Stargate and he's like, does the whole, oh, it's good to see all of you. Have you met Ezra? And he's wearing, the black with the red lightsaber would be such a son of a bitch.
It would be pretty good.
Yeah, you could definitely lead into the movie with that. But I must say, the feedback I've seen for these first 2 episodes, everyone's reviews for it, which including ours, is that those first 2 episodes, absolute banger.
Yeah.
Fills the fans' anticipation, also raises another billion questions, and also expands the world a lot bigger than what Mando has done or what Obi-Wan has done. Or even Absolutely. The sequel trilogy did.
Yeah.
Because we already knew about cloning. We already knew about Force users. We already knew that, the Empire, people were gambling. But this has just gone a whole different kettle of fish.
It's managed to encapsulate everything that Star Wars is, from, random people to Force users. So even incorporating a little bit of the Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor games, because that bit when she's finding that orb, it felt like you were doing puzzles from like Fallen Order or something like that.
It did, especially the beam. The beam I got from Jedi Survivor. I got that. I was like, okay, it's going to go to an array that you need to go through a hyperspace.
And then all the way to the opening scroll with the red text at the beginning, that when that ended, it goes in. That? I was all right with that, actually, because no other TV show's done that, to be fair.
No.
And it felt like Star Wars-ish to me, because that's what we associate with Star Wars films and stuff, isn't it? The scroll at the beginning. And it felt very Star Wars-y when it ended, and it panned onto like a ship going underneath the camera before going to a broader sort of view. That felt very much like original trilogy Star Wars to me. So to me, these episodes, it gives life to Star Wars and to the lore that those of us that already know about it, but whilst bringing in people who aren't burdened by it at the same time and being able to keep them as part of the story. So I'm excited to see where the series goes for sure.
I'm right there with you, man. The hype is real, and I think it's ignited so much with Star Wars fans. Not to mention, my other bold prediction is the girl, which I forgot her name, which everyone's going to fight me for, who does voice Ahsoka. I have no doubt she will pop up as a cameo.
Ashley Eckstein.
Yes, I'm like, she has to be at this some point. With a, that moment where the voice actor or the real person shake hands and have a moment for some little small real reason. I'm sure she's going to be at some point, but if they do this right, which I have no doubt they will with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, if they do this right, this could very much become the top Star Wars Disney Plus show we've seen so far. Because to me, it's Mando, Obi-Wan, Andor.
Book of Boba Fett sliding at the bottom for you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's so bad you couldn't even remember
actually,
it.
Yeah, sorry. Oh. Yeah, actually, you're right. Book of Boba Fett, bottom. Because I liked how Andor went into the deep, dark of the Star Wars universe. And, of course, Obi-Wan, seeing Hayden Christensen back, the split of the mask, all of that was so good. And, yeah, so I'd say that'd be... What's your order?
Probably not dissimilar, but the top three are almost all on pars. I mean, I really enjoyed Andor. Like I said, it is a very slow burner, but once it gets there, it was really, really good for me, especially since it's one of the only ones to be like a non-Force user project or have no Force users in it.
Yeah.
So it's more like the real world of the real people of Star Wars as opposed to the wizards of Star Wars. Gotta love the Kenobi series because it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, I get my Anakin Vader fix in it as well, and more layering to his story and the brutality of him in that. When he turns up on Mapuzo and drags people down the street and just snaps a kid's neck and stuff like that. Gotta love exactly. But Mando has been a big love of mine for the last few years. So I think I have it in the same order as you. But Mando, Kenobi, and Andor are very closely smushed together. But you're not wrong in terms of the lore of this. For me, being a big fan of Rebels and the overall arc we're going to get, could push this right to the top.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If that's what I mean, if done right, because I will always hold a very special place with the first season of Mandalorian. You know, this was the first crack for a Star Wars TV show. A lot of people were iffy about it. You know, it was about a character that no one really knew. Really knew about him except going, oh, isn't that just Boba Fett? And it blew everything out of the water to the point where they had one stage to make the Mandalorian, but now they have 3 stages.
Yeah, I mean, Mando's...
Yeah, sorry,
Karen. I say Mando is definitely special. I think season 2 for me has probably been the best. Just the story in general, the fact obviously we got introduced to more Mandalorians and obviously Bo-Katan's return, right up to the finale episode. I think is one of the best finales of any show I've seen. I remember sitting alone in my flat watching that by myself, and I wish I had people there with me to watch it because I was literally like jumping up and screaming during that finale. So yeah, Mando is special for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of people. For me, when it was first alluded to it, I was like, oh, it's probably going to be Ahsoka. It's probably going to be Ahsoka that's going to rock up. No way they're going to pull the Luke card.
Yeah. We debated loads. It was Ahsoka, possibly Ezra. I had money on potentially showing up. But yeah, to have Luke and R2 as well. R2, my favorite little droid. It was so beautiful, so emotional as a deep in it Star Wars fan. Yeah, amazing.
And that's one of my biggest things. These Star Wars shows have done more for Star Wars than what the sequel trilogy did in the space of 5-6 years.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Done so much to the point where people were like, "No, these are better. Like, don't watch those films. Just watch this," and continuing on. But look, man, I have to say thank you so much for coming on this episode, and thank you so much for talking about this. You are the perfect man I wanted to chat about, and clearly shown I know absolute shit because I haven't watched Star Wars Rebels. So this won't be the last time you'll be on the show. You are always most welcome to come on here, and I can't wait to have you back. I can't wait if you start watching Invincible because that's right around the corner. And of course, because I've been on your show 3 times, I need to get you back another 3. But any final words, man?
I mean, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been a real honor and a real pleasure. I know that we get on really well, and like I said, you've been on my show plenty of times, and it's always good to chat with you. Even better when we get to chat about Star Wars. We've done a lot of Marvel chat on my show, so it was good to chat Star Wars with you, man. I really do appreciate it, and anyone that's listening to your show that comes over from mine, give Lee a follow. It's definitely worth it. He has one of the best intros to a podcast that I've ever come across as well. So that's worth the entry money alone, and then stay for the rest of it, obviously. So thanks very much for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And just last thing is, where can the viewers and listeners find your podcast?
Yeah, so if you go to my social media, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. I'm slowly getting all my episodes uploaded onto there. And I do try and game a little bit on Twitch as well. The Galactic podcast is my name on all of those. And you can find the links that will take you to, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'm all on those as well.
We will also put in the show notes for you as well. So everyone, please go give him a follow. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. The sky is the limit for this man. And until next time, guys, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time.